So how's that defunding the police going? Well, it's not going good. Two stories, New York and Chicago, once again. At least 17 people shot in New York City on Monday as gun violence continues to soar. But I thought guns were illegal in New York City. Oh, that's right. Only the criminals use them. How about that? At least 17 people were shot in NYC, the Big Apple, on Monday. A tally that would be considered high for a weekend day, but is astronomical for early in the week, law enforcement sources said. No borough was spared from the gunplay, but Brooklyn saw the most violence with 10 shooting incidents and a total of 12 victims, sources said. Those numbers would be high for a Friday or a Saturday, but for a Monday they are astronomical, one high-ranking New York Brooklyn cop said. 7 of those shot in Brooklyn, including a 20-year-old man, was fatally blasted. Wow. Pretty harsh language there. Were hit in 5 separate incidents in the borough's 69th precinct, which covers the Canarsie neighborhood, according to police and sources. On Monday night in Canarsie, 5 people were shot in 3 separate shootings in a 15-minute span, authorities said. At about 3 a.m. Monday, the same precinct, a 20-year-old man was gunned down and in the lobby of a building on Williams Avenue near Stanley Avenue, cops said. Look at all these pop-ups. Stop it. Outside Brooklyn, 2 people were shot Monday in Manhattan, and 1 in each of the city's 3 other boroughs, sources said. One of the victims who was shot in Manhattan, a 17-year-old who was hit in the head while standing in the courtyard of the George Washington houses in East Harlem, was clinging to life early Tuesday. The remaining victims were all expected to survive. Monday's bloodshed followed a recent 15-hour stretch from midday Saturday to into Sunday, where another 15 people were shot in the Big Apple. So, you demean the police. You threaten to take the budget away. New York City's big, and I think there's only 38,000 police in New York City. Think about that. If you do the math on that, that's pretty insane when it comes to there's not that many police to actually police 8 million people in the city itself. Now, let's go to Chicago. At least 64 shot so far in Chicago this weekend, including 11 deaths. I mean, again, you're going to see a lot of the same themes in these stories I talk about when I talk about Chicago. People standing out on the street and they get shot. What are they doing out at middle of the night? And that's the thing. It's like they should be able to go out on the street in the middle of the night and hang out. Why not? And not worry about being shot and killed. But they live in Chicago, and you really know the Democrats really care about you. Chicago detectives are investigating several shootings, including one in the Avalon Park neighborhood just south of Grand Crossing. 3 women were shot. One of them died at the hospital. The police were called to 80th Street and Woodlawn Avenue around 9:40 p.m. Saturday night. The victims were just standing on the street with a group of people when someone started shooting. It is unclear if the victims were taking part in some type of memorial or vigil on the block, but candles could be seen lit up on the sidewalk. Again, do this in your basement or something, or in the backyard. Find a way to get away from the street, for God's sakes. That's the other thing. You always hear about these people want to defund the police. Great. So what about over the last 4 weeks we have at least 500 shootings? How are the detectives supposed to investigate these crimes when you defund them? Oh, that's right. You can't. Impossible if you decrease their budget. But then again, I don't really think you care about the people who were shot. I'm talking to you, Mayor Lightfoot. All 3 of the women were shot were taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. A 33-year-old woman died. 2 other women were both shot and expected to survive. Chicago police are also trying to figure out who shot 3 men in Humboldt Park as they stood in the street around 12:45 Sunday morning. A 53-year-old man was pronounced dead at the scene near Lawndale Avenue and Thomas Street. Police believe the victims got into an argument or a fight with several men. Again, get off the goddamn street. Crap. Two other men, 23-year-old and a 33-year-old, were critical condition at Stroger Hospital of Cook County Sunday morning. In the other fatal incidents this weekend, 20-year-old man was approached by a vehicle and was shot and killed. Next, a 41-year-old man was found in the alley after police responded to a shot spotter call in the 7,000th block of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive in the Greater Grand Crossing. Stay the hell out of Greater Grand Crossing and stay the hell off of Martin Luther King Drive. Holy crap. A 41-year-old man was found on the street in the 300 block of North Ashland on the near west side with a gunshot wound to the chest at 1:32 Saturday. Two men, ages 31 and 35, were on a sidewalk in the 5400 block of West Congress Parkway in South Austin neighborhood when someone fired shots. The younger man was pronounced dead at Mount Sinai Hospital. I don't think I need to read all of these. Again, let's read the end of this. On Saturday, young people took to the streets to demand an end to gun violence. Good Kids Mad City organized what they called a love march, a summer of love, amongst all the deaths, near 64th Street and Dr. Martin Luther King Drive in the Greater Grand Crossing. They pointed out that the high number of women and children killed in recent weeks, including 7-year-old Natalia Wallace. They want the mayor and the other elected officials to act now by directing more resources to black and brown communities on the city's south and west sides. But I thought you didn't want them there. That's the crazy thing. That makes me actually sort of question the whole BLM movement. I actually think the people in the community want the police there. However, they don't want to be brutalized by the police, and I understand that. But if you defund the police, then why would they show up to these areas? This is an actually racist policy to defund the police. If you defund the police, then where most of the calls for service are in the areas are the black and brown people, black and brown communities, as this article stated. That's what you want? You want a racist policy to defund the police, to remove police from your... Wow, okay. At the march, organizer Nita Tennyson, 22, wore the names of the shooting victims on her back. There's not enough graduations, weddings, baby showers, she said. It's funerals and urns. That's all I've been to in the past 4 years. And I ended up losing one of my friends this weekend. And I want to do the march because it's enough. 2 more marches were held on Sunday, 3 p.m. in Inglewood and 4 p.m. in South Shore. I mean, yeah. That's the thing about defunding police. This is what goes on. And if you defund police, that in and of itself is a racist policy. Trust me on this. Where do you think most of the calls of service and most of the patrols are going to? Are they necessarily going to the predominantly white areas? No. And for obvious reasons. The crime isn't in those areas. The crime is in the unfortunate areas where most of the African Americans and brown communities, as this article stated, reside. So if you defund the police, they're just not going to go there. Then how are you going to get people to investigate all of these murders if you defund the police? Very simple. You can't. And so a lot of these murders that happen are from minority communities. And dare I say, that almost seems, I shouldn't say it, but defunding the police is a racist policy. Prove me wrong.